Hi friends, it's Liz from Elizabeth Street Studio, and I'm here today with a little mini tutorial on how to choose colors for stranded knitting or colorwork projects. And this, I'm talking about choosing colors specifically for my Wilder Mitts pattern that just came out last week, but this would work for any colorwork pattern. So sometimes choosing colors can be like there are too many options and there are so many color combinations that I love that I don't always know where to start. But I just wanted to share a couple of tips that have really helped me in choosing colors for colorwork so that they all kind of pop and that nothing gets lost in the background. And there's probably other colorwork knitters that are much more experienced than I am, but again, these are some tips that helped me, so I thought I would just put them in a quick video in case they would help you too. So these are the Wilder Mitts, and for this specific pattern you needed 3 colors of yarn, a main color, a contrast color 1, and a contrast color 2. And I did a couple of samples with different combinations and I liked them all for different reasons. When I first started designing this pattern, it started off as a black and white. So you can see my sketches, black and white, and there was a little bit of gray. And I had some black, white, and gray yarn that I was literally going to knit this up like this. And it's funny because a really good way to check if you're choosing colors to see if the values work together so that one doesn't get lost in the background is to actually take a photo and put a black and white filter on it and see what it looks like in black and white. Like, is there enough contrast between all of the colors so that you see all of them well enough in the final garment? That's a good trick, is to put a black and white filter on a photo of your yarns to see what the contrast looks like. So you want something that will have enough contrast so that you can see all of your colors. So it started off like this, but the yarn that I had, though, it was too bulky and it didn't work for the actual pattern. But I loved this kind of motif, this kind of graphic motif that I stumbled on and wanted to see what it looked like in a colored version, which led me to kind of re-sketching it out. And I did it in kind of, there was with a dark background and then with the inverse of that as well. And so I chose the dark, a medium, and a light, which you can see looks almost the same as this is almost a black and white photo of this dark, medium, and light. So that's how I kind of started figuring out what colors to use, was choosing a dark, a medium, and a light. And this was, I think, the next sample. I knit a green, a pink, and a white. The green was a little bit lighter than what was in here, which I really, really liked. But I ended up tweaking the pattern a little bit more. And so I tried out this blue, white, and with a pop of red. And this kind of combination I picked in a little bit of a different way, because you can see the medium color is really the main color. So the main color isn't the really dark like it was in the drawing, but I used a neutral color and then a neutral and whatever other color I wanted that worked together well. So it was like a neutral and a warm color, or a neutral and a cool color. Like here it's blue is in the cool family, so I chose a blue, a cool color, and the white neutral. And then I wanted something else that would really pop with it, so I went with this kind of like poppy red, which is like on the opposite side of the color wheel. It's a warm color, so it's not another cool color. So I went with something on the opposite end of the color wheel as the contrast color. And I actually really, really like this combination too. So that's another way you could do it, is you have a dark, a medium, and a light, but you could mix up how you use them. Your dark color does not always have to be the background color, if that makes sense. So, and here is the final version of the Wilder Mitts, and you can see it's really similar to the sketch, the green, the pink, and the white. So again, I have a dark, a medium, and a light. And I wanted the dark color to be the background or the main color. And then the neutral I used as the first contrast color. And then your kind of opposite color wheel, pop of color, is your contrast color 2. Does that make sense? So it helped me to think about starting with the dark, the medium, and the light, and then thinking about which colors go together the best. I really liked the white and the green, and then using that kind of opposite color wheel, contrast color, as the extra little pop of color in the design. And I think that worked out really, really well. And there's a sneak peek of something new. So I did the same. This is the Wilder Woods hat, which is, I am writing it up right now, but it is kind of the sister pattern to the Wilder mitts. But I used the same technique to pick out my yarn colors for the hat as I did for the mitts. So I started with a dark color, which is, I think this is Spruce. This is Knit Picks palette. They have a really good color palette selection. So I picked a dark color. I picked a neutral that went with it. I think this might be Gosling. I think this is Gosling. It's kind of a warm gray. Like here's a white, so you can see the difference between the white and this. So it's not white, but it's a little bit of a warm gray. So I have my dark color that I really liked, and then I have a neutral to kind of go with it. And then again, I wanted that same pop of color, so I brought in the same, I believe this is Tea Rose, to be my contrast color 2, to be that extra little pop of color. But again, you could totally do this the other way around. Like if you wanted this your main color, then you have your neutral second color, and then you have your little pop of color at the end. It would just have a different vibe. But you have your dark, your medium, and your light, and you kind of decide which is your neutral pairs with whichever one you want, and then your last one is kind of that pop of color. That is how I picked out those colors. And I'm actually knitting another version of this with a long folded brim. And here's my main color. Look at that. This is Brass Heather. And then again, I wanted a neutral. So I went a little bit differently with this one. So my next color is Hair Heather. So it's a little bit, here's the Gosling. It's a little bit warmer. It's hard to tell on the screen, but it's warmer and has a little bit more brown in it than the Gosling does. And then for my last pop of color, I wanted something that would something that would just let this main color totally be the star of the show, totally shine. So I picked out just a pure white that I had sitting around to be my last pop of color. So instead of bringing in like this pop of color, do you see how they're kind of all medium tone? That's not what I wanted to go for. So I brought in this light pop of color of like white that would either work, that totally works, this totally works. So then together they will all make sense. So here's my light, my medium, and my dark. So that's how I'm picking colors for this three color work. I hope that helps. It's not really a specific like scientific way, but again, if you're unsure at all, try the like black and white filter trick. That really helps me a lot in thinking of dark, medium, and light. And then again, start with one you want to be your main color that's your favorite, bring in a neutral that goes along with it, and then something else to be that pop of color at the end. But again, play around with it so that it's something that you like, and have fun with it. That's a few tips for choosing colors for color work knitting and stranded knitting that requires 3 colors. I hope that was helpful. We'll talk soon, guys.